Talk to Justin Urquhart-Stewart there, who's an economist, of course. Unlike Rachel Reeves, he doesn't keep telling everyone he's an economist. He just is one. Justin, a very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good to see you. Let's talk about productivity, because it seems to be worse than we thought. You know, it wasn't very good to begin with, but because of net migration not being counted in the last sort of run of figures, they've now added it in, and it's taken productivity even further down the gurgler.
Well, irrespective of anyone's political views, that our productivity figures have been appalling. Basically, what we're trying to actually work out is how efficient are we being in actually producing stuff. Well, if you're running a company, you don't want to be unproductive. You're just going to find other ways of trying to do things to try and actually make yourself more efficient. The trouble is, over the past few years in Britain, the easiest thing to do was employ cheap labour.
Yes.
Where do you get that from? Well, we know it's been coming in from all over the place. And whether whatever your views on the EU were, we had people flooding in from all over the place from other parts of Europe, and now we've got people flooding in from other places other than Europe. So I'm afraid, whilst you're dependent on cheap labour, you're not really being very productive compared to, say, those countries where they've actually got far more automation using AI and things like that. What the government needs to do, and it's not very difficult to do, is actually encourage the tax system for more investment into further development of systems and initiatives to make sure that you can produce things more efficiently in the future. It doesn't mean necessarily less labour, but doing things brighter so labour can get on and be doing other stuff rather than just basically digging holes. I think we've all gone past that stage. So actually, this is within the government, no matter what political party you want, to try and encourage it. How do you do it? Well, what you do is you give people tax incentives so that, for instance, in terms of your capital expenditure on the development of your business, you're going to get tax relief on that. And so you encourage the kind of companies to spend more. It doesn't cost the government anything. And lo and behold, over a few years, your productivity does increase. We've seen in the past, it sort of works. It's not difficult.
Well, it doesn't seem to be difficult the way you explain it there, but that's not really what the budget did. Rachel Reeves seems to be completely anathema to that particular plan, because what she's done is basically create a scenario where growth will just continue to fall, won't she?
Well, the trouble is, you see, there's no one there I can see there who looks as if they've had a sort of, dare I say, proper job. That's rather rude. Actually run a business. How do I mean running a business? Well, let's say putting your house up on for borrowing money. It was to set up a business, waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, whether you've got enough money or not to make sure you can do the wage bills, those sort of things. It sounds a bit corny, but if you're running a business, whether it's a corner shop, working for yourself, or whether you're working for large corporations, it's the same thing. And if you've actually, particularly with small businesses, and we're really good at setting up small businesses, we're really bad at growing them.
Yeah.
One of the reasons we're bad at growing them is we don't have a very good capital market to actually encourage small businesses to get to medium-sized businesses, to get to large ones. People say, why don't we have so many large businesses anymore? That's because we haven't grown the small ones.
Right.
The small ones we have, particularly around high-tech, do very well, and not just London-based, they're all over the place, around a lot of the high-tech centres. What you'll find is they come up with the good ideas, they develop, some of them turn into companies, don't get much further, because jolly fellows come over from California and say, that's a good idea. By the way, we'll buy you up and zip you over to sunny California to the last you see of it. So we start things, we don't develop them. And therefore, what we're doing is we're not being productive enough in actually growing those businesses and taking our labour on from not just people sort of digging holes into something more sophisticated. We're a bright people, we're well-educated people. We should be doing a lot more with our population and with our economy.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Justin. Thank you very much indeed for that, because it looks to me as though it's become a lot more expensive to run a small business in this country since the budget came out last month. Let's talk to Gregory Thwaites, who's Research Director at the Resolution Foundation. Gregory, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. I don't know whether you agree with Justin there, but growth is a problem in the country, and I don't see much coming out of the budget which is going to encourage small firms to invest more money in what they do.
Growth is a huge problem in the country, and it's been one that's been going on for maybe 15, 16 years. It's been hit by the global financial crisis, then it got hit by our leaving the European Union, and then COVID. But there are also real problems in this country to do with it being easy to invest the skills of our workforce. So I do agree in part with the previous speaker that productivity is a problem and that more investment is part of the solution. Now, looking at the last budget and recent budgets before that, I think there have been good moves in the right direction. So Jeremy Hunt made the capital allowances. So he made investment basically tax-free or tax deductible for most firms. for most kinds of investment, but not all of them. And then Rachel Reeves is now trying to increase public investment so that we have the right infrastructure and the right public service to support the economy as well. So I think both Rachel Reeves and Jeremy Hunt have made good steps, but I think there's lots more to do in this country.
Yeah, the problem with public investment, though, is that it has to come from the public, doesn't it? And that's the bottom line. And in the end, you know, there's only so much in the pot at the moment. I mean, and talking about Europe, you look across at France, and they're in a dire state economically, as is Germany. You know, the European Union is not exactly a beacon of hope here in terms of what they're doing, is it?
So it depends where you look in the European Union. So in Spain and Italy, they seem to be growing very quickly. France and Germany are in trouble, like we are. But remember that Germany and also the Benelux countries, Belgium, Netherlands, are much richer than we are to begin with. So we have fallen behind those countries in the past 15 years. Notwithstanding the fact that they have bigger governments than we do. So I think it really depends on what the government spends its money on.
Yeah.
Of course, it's
well, Britain's full of young people from Spain who've left Spain because they couldn't get work there. You know, people under 25 in Spain, I think the unemployment rate is something around 25 to 30%.
Yes, it's extremely high youth unemployment in Spain. Again, it's been coming down, and we have Spanish people in this country who've come here to work. But if you look at the direction of travel and the direction of change, it is the case that Northern Europe, including the UK, isn't doing very well, but is still richer than we are, excluding the UK. And then Southern Europe, by and large, seems to be catching up a bit over the last few years.
We'll see how that all goes. Good to talk to you, Gregory. Thanks very much indeed. Gregory Thwaites, Research Director at the Resolution Foundation.